Hey everybody, Matt with Jameson's Tractor. It's been a long time since I've done any videos about trucks, the things that we've been using. I mean, it's been over a year, I think, at this point. And, you know, when you're running and operating a business a lot by yourself, and now my dad's helping me some, sometimes there's just not time or you don't have the energy to keep making videos for YouTube. But I do think that there's some things that you guys will find interesting, some things that I've learned, some things that I think are cool. And as you can see, this is a completely different truck and trailer than the last time I made a video. The last video I did about this, I had a 2024 Chevy 2500 with the 6.6 gas, and I had a Blazer 25-foot gooseneck trailer with two 8,000-pound axles. So fast forward, more than a year later, this is a 2024 Ford F550 single cab, and this is a 2025 Moretz 30-foot gooseneck trailer. Essentially, to kind of catch you up to where I am, the Chevy truck that I had, it did really well, but I realized that I needed a little bit longer trailer. And also that Blazer trailer, the ramps were really heavy, the way that they had the spring system, and so I thought, I want to get something. I thought Dad's probably going to be helping me. I want something that's more manageable. It needs to be a little bit longer. And so around this time last year, actually, I put an order in for this trailer. And it arrived in January, and I went and picked it up. I had to go up to Kentucky to get it because there's no dealers here in the Nashville area at this time. And I mean, the trailer is beautiful. It's probably the nicest, most well-built trailer that I've even ever been around in terms of a gooseneck trailer. So I have nothing but really glowing reviews to say about this trailer. But one surprise that I got, I came through the scales probably the next day, right after I picked up the trailer empty, to just see where I was. And my Blazer trailer, it was a 25-foot gooseneck, same axle setup. It was putting about 15% tongue weight on the truck. So that trailer was, I think, around 6,000 pounds. It was putting around 900 pounds of tongue weight on my Chevy truck when it was completely empty. I just mistakenly assumed that this trailer would also be putting around 15%, and I knew that this trailer was going to be a little bit heavier. Well, when I went to the scales, I was surprised. This trailer puts 25% of the tongue weight on the truck. And so it was like 1,850 pounds of tongue weight unloaded. And my Chevy truck was derated to a 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. And so I think, with me in the truck, I only had like 2,500 pounds of payload. And that was eaten up by 1,800 pounds of weight with just the empty trailer. So I had very little payload to go before I was technically over my stickers. So I really worked hard to try to keep the weight of machines safely over the axles, to try to keep the payload low on the Chevy truck. And honestly, the truck did great. It definitely was squatting quite a bit, and I know that I was just pushing it over the sticker limitations of the vehicle. As far as the power around here, it did great. I never had an issue with power. But I started realizing, I'm crossing state lines a lot. I really got to the point where I thought I need to go ahead and solve this problem, because I don't, A, want to get in trouble for being overweight. B, I certainly wouldn't want to cause an accident or have anything like that happen. And so I'm sort of the mindset where I want to do things right. So you fast forward to where I am right now, and I decided that it was time for me to trade my Chevy truck and get something that I didn't have a payload issue. So this truck, this has a GVWR of 19,500. And the truck itself weighs right around 10,000 pounds how I have it configured. So I've got roughly, and that's with me in it, I've got roughly 9,500 pounds of payload that I can have on this truck. So you add 1,800 pounds of tongue weight from the trailer, and I've still got 7,500 pounds of tongue weight that I can add to this truck. I was able to put a fuel tank. I've got a 60-gallon diesel transfer tank on here with a pump. You know, in terms of tools, whatever, I'm not bumping up against the limit. And I thought, you know, if I'm going to do this, it's expensive to move out of a truck and into another truck. The last thing I wanted to do was have this cycle continue where I'm trading another truck and trading another truck. I wanted to buy a truck that I thought, I want to keep this for a long time. And that's what I think I got in this. I did a few things to it right off the bat. You know, I bought this truck, I think it had 100 miles on it when I bought it. And I had ordered some stuff, so I installed a fast fuel system on here to make sure that the fuel stays nice and clean and there's no air going into the fuel system on the truck. Hopefully that helps to protect the CP4 pump that's on this. I'm running a fuel additive in every tank. I installed a Franz oil bypass filter, which you really can't see. I might try to sneak a picture of that. It's up underneath the truck. But again, wanted to set this up to where this truck is going to hopefully last me for a really long time. Again, I'm running fuel additive every time I fill up. I'm going to be changing the oil probably every 5,000 miles on this truck. I'm just going to take as good a care of it as I can. This is an 11-foot CM bed that I had put on this truck. It's just a pretty standard bed, but it's got these toolboxes in here. They're deep enough to where I can fit some good stuff in there. I've got a little toolkit there. I've got some tools on the other side and my some fluids and stuff like that. And I ended up going with the single cab. You know, my Chevy was a crew cab truck, and that was great. Especially if I only had one truck, because if I needed to take my family around, we needed to go do something, I had back seats, there was more space in that truck. But I realized that from a delivery perspective, I really wasn't ever utilizing that space. And if I was just kind of throwing stuff back there, and then it would get cluttered, and it really wasn't a good utilization of that space. It was there so I would use it. So I was able to move into a single cab truck, which saved me a ton of money, because I was able to find a 2024 leftover that was still on the lot. And I saved a ton of money buying this truck. And the single cab helped me move into that. It's a 4x4 truck. It's got the 6.7 Power Stroke. Of course, we know that these 550s are D-rated over like a 350 or the 450 with the pickup bed on there. So I think this truck has 330 horsepower and 950 foot-pounds of torque. It does have the 10-speed transmission, but it's a 430 gear ratio on the rear end. If you look up under there, the rear end is massive. It's got a ton of heavy-duty suspension. It's got a heavy-duty front suspension service package. It's got a block heater on it. It's just a really well set-up truck for what I'm doing. And so, you know, so far it's been great. I've got about 2,500 miles on the truck. And it does really, really well. It's hauled a pretty good amount of weight. One thing that's nice about having the flatbed is I did actually, and I'll show you over here, I have a couple other things. I picked up a second trailer just in case I needed to haul something smaller, or, you know, a piece of construction equipment where I wanted to kind of minimize maybe some tongue weight. I bought this when I had the Chevy. And this is a 20-foot Blazer utility trailer. It's got two 8,000-pound axles on it. But one thing that's nice about this trailer is if I bumper pull this behind the F550, well, I have that whole flatbed. So actually one of the first deliveries I made with this truck was pulling this trailer. I had a John Deere 333G on the trailer, and it had a set of pallet forks on it, and then I had a grapple and an 84-inch smooth bucket on the bed of the F550. And that was really handy because I was bumping up against my weight limits with this truck, and I knew I was going to have to go through the scales. I think with the machine and the pallet forks, I had 15,000 pounds on these axles. Well, if you know, that grapple is like 1,200 pounds. The bucket is 1,200 pounds. So had I tried to cram everything on this trailer, I would have been over my ratings for this trailer. But because I was able to put some of that on the bed of the truck, I was able to pull this completely legally. I wasn't even close to maxing out the tongue weight, you know, or the payload on the truck, and it worked out really well. So I have this secondary trailer as kind of a backup or an auxiliary style trailer. And then I also, I picked up this Ram 3500. Really, this has become my daily driver at this point. And it could be used in a pinch if I have mechanical issues with that truck. And my goal with this was to get something that was in good shape mechanically, but I wanted to spend kind of as little as possible, but have it be something that's capable in the event that I have kind of an emergency or a real need. So I picked this up. So far, it's been great. I've had to do a few things. I had to put an intercooler hose on it. We had to replace a relay. Had to get it aligned because it was wearing these front tires kind of unevenly. But it's got the 5.9 24 valve Cummins on it. It's a 4-wheel drive truck. It's done great. It fires up every time. It's got a few little minor leaks underneath of it, which kind of all these do. But at this point, it's just kind of my daily driver. It could be a backup if I needed it. And you'll see that it's got these exhaust stacks on it, which I certainly would not have installed myself. And I was a little bit leery of of this truck or of that, just the way the image that it's got. It's not necessarily me, but it's actually been pretty fun and it sounds great. So I'm going to start it up really quick so you guys can hear it. Let's see. So this is a cold start. Didn't start it this morning. Starts up easy and it just purrs. Got stacks on both sides. So pretty cool truck. Honestly, it works out great as a daily driver. Cosmetically, it's not in great shape. I mean, it's not bad, but it's got some rust in the some of the panels, some of the doors. But the nice thing about that is I'm really not worried at all about this truck getting beat up or dinged. It's nice to be able to drive it around and, you know, park it in a parking lot and not be concerned about that. I guess I should mention this. I had to spend the time. I went and got my CDL because this truck and that trailer are way over together the limit, the 26,000 pound limit. So I just bit the bullet and I went ahead and got my CDL. I went ahead and got all the DOT certifications, the IFTA, the IRP. And because of that, because I'm completely by the book, I went ahead and put a full, you know, company information on my truck so that people can know who it is that's going down the road with a nice tractor on the back or a nice skid steer or whatever. But that made a kind of a big difference to where, you know, before I was really trying to avoid attention, and now that I've got everything sort of under wrapped up, I'm trying to attract it, which I think hopefully will be a good thing for the business. And then I know we've talked a lot about the truck, but I'll give you kind of a quick update on this trailer. This is maybe a little bit messy, but some of the things that I really like about this trailer is how I'm able to organize. This is a big box in here. I was able to fit some milk crates, hang my chains and binders. It really makes it to where I'm not fighting for trying to find things, get things out. I mean, it's this, the organization of this box and the size of it is excellent. Another thing that's different on this trailer than was on my Blazer is it's a low profile trailer. So it's probably maybe 3 inches or so lower deck height, which, you know, does a couple things. It's easier to get on and off. It's got more steps to get on and off. There's some here, there's some up front. And it also keeps the machines at a little bit lower center of gravity and, you know, maybe keeps them under some limbs that they might have hit on my other trailer. The quality of the trailer is excellent. You know, the rub rails, I've been using this trailer, you know, coming up on a year. Things are holding up really well. But a big selling point for this trailer for me was how lightweight these ramps are. That's twofold. Number one, they're aluminum. Number two, the spring system that they use is excellent, to where I can very easily one-hand these up and down. There is no weird breakover angle here. On my other trailer, I had something, you know, if I had a mower deck on a tractor or a zero turn, sometimes it would get caught on the bar and the bracketry that is in between the ramp and the tail of the trailer. This has got a very smooth transition. And then the other thing I'll show you, if you look how this ramp comes down underneath the back, the way that they designed this, the rear of this comes back up underneath of the trailer. And that keeps, you know, when your machine moves from coming on the ramp to being on the trailer, when that's not like that, the rear of the trailer will want to start to squat. But because this is supported actually underneath the rear of the trailer, it doesn't do that. So it actually is very stable loading and unloading. And then again, I mean, if we just look at the weight, it is very easy for me to one hand this up and down. It's got a detent position. In that, you've got these little bars that you could do to lock it up in that position if you want to. And then also, it's got adjustable handles where you can latch this in and it keeps it from rattling around, because my other trailer, number one, the ramps were high, so I had to put blocks underneath of them. They wanted to rattle going down the road, so I typically would strap it down so that it wasn't chattering all the way down there. Again, this was not a cheap trailer, but it is an excellent trailer, and most likely I will probably have to move to like a dual tandem at some point in the future so that I can sort of match the capability of that truck. And I will be very likely buy another Moretz trailer. I've been very, very happy with it. So I figured that's probably enough talking. What we might do, I've got a tractor that I've got to take somewhere locally and drop off. And so I thought we might do that, give you a little bit of riding in this truck.